Peace and blessing to all the viewers, and all praises to the Most High, the Creator of heaven and earth, for giving us all this knowledge and wisdom in these last days to avoid the wiles and tricks of Satan. So today what we're going to be going over is the topic of the Sabbath day. So many of our brothers and sisters are keeping the Sabbath day on Saturday. And those who are still in the Christian church are keeping the Sabbath day on Sunday, which is totally wrong. Both of them are wrong. And I myself used to teach that. I used to teach Saturday as the Sabbath day. And I used to keep the Sabbath on Saturday, which actually goes off of this modern day calendar, which is not biblical. And the Most High, after further investigation, the Most High has led me to understand that keeping the Sabbath on Saturday is not biblical, because we cannot use these pagan calendar or the Roman calendar as the sign of the feast of the Most High. So with that being said, I want you to sit back and grab your pen and paper and learn. So let's delve into it. And on the seventh day, the Most High finished his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. So the Most High blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all his work that he had done in creation. And the Most High said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and say, above all you shall keep my Sabbath, for this is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I, the Most High, sanctify you. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Most High. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generation, for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Most High made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed." Now we're going to show you how to determine the feast days and the holy days according to the Bible. This is very important. I want you to pay attention to this. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times, and a sign of the world from the moon is the sign of feast. The month is called after her name. The moon is a sign of the feast. The month is called after her name. This is context. This is context. Understand that. The month is called after who? The moon. The month is called after the moon, which means that every time a new moon comes out is a new month. The moon represents the month. That's why he says the sign, the moon is a sign of feast. That means that any feast that you have to be keeping, you have to go off of the moon, the new moon. You need to determine the feast from the new moon, not based off of the modern day calendar, which is a pagan calendar. It's not of the Most High. "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the seventh month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpet, a holy convocation. And in the seventh month, on the first day of the month, ye shall have a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing the trumpet unto you. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel, and a law of the God of Jacob. This is precept upon precept. This goes into the feast of the blowing of the trumpet. And what is the topic of discussion in this session? Is the new moon. New moon, how to determine the feast days and holy days. We can only determine the feast day based off of the new moon or the new month. So every time a new moon comes out is a new month. So blow up the trumpet in the new month. He's talking about that particular period of time that we're supposed to be blowing the trumpet. That's why he says the time appointed, which is the 7th month. And he says on the first day of the 7th month of this new moon, the new moon of the 7th month. He didn't say Monday, Tuesday, or any of these pagan names of the week, of the Roman calendar. He always says the first day or the second day in the Bible. Let's keep reading. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon. Tomorrow is a new moon, is a new month. Tomorrow is a new month. I should not fail to sit with the king at meat, but let me go that I might hide myself in the field unto the third day at evening. At evening, the third day at evening, the third day from the new moon at evening. It didn't say to Wednesday or Thursday or any of these pagan names of the modern day calendar. Then Jonathan said to David, tomorrow is the new moon, and you shall be missed because that seat will be empty. Tomorrow is a new moon, is a new month. That's what he's saying. So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon came, the king sat down to eat food. When the new month came, the king sat down to eat food. New moon. Every time a new moon comes out is a new month for the Israelite. Not the modern day calendar. Not December. The Most High is not dealing with December or March, April, or any of these pagan names of the month, of the modern day calendar. The Most High doesn't deal with that. He doesn't know any of that. But on the second day, the day after the new moon, David's place was empty. And Saul said to Jonathan, his son, why has not the son of Jesse come to the meal either yesterday or tomorrow? On the second day, he didn't say Tuesday or Wednesday. He didn't say Monday at all. He said on the second day because they were going off of the new moon. He said the day after the new moon is the second day. Ladies and gentlemen, this is clear. You have to go off of the new moon because the moon is a sign of the feast. The new moon is the beginning of the new month for the Israelite. So now we're going to show you how to identify the new moon or the new month and how many days can we observe in the various 12 lunar cycles of the year according to the Bible. So now I want you to pay attention to this session because it's very important. We're going to start out with the book of Enoch. The moon has 4 names. Its first name is Azaniah. Its second name is Abla. The third, Manasseh. And the fourth, Era. So basically, the Bible names the moon, divides the moon into 4 major phases. But we all know that there are 8 different phases of the moon that was named by the astronaut, and they got these names. They actually divided those phases according to the book of Enoch. If you read the book of Enoch, then you will understand it. The book of Enoch explained the breakdown, the functioning, and the evolution of the sun and the moon. If you really read it, then you will understand. So basically, we have Azania, Abla, Banasi, and Era, which are the four major phases of the moon. But we also know that there are altogether eight phases of the moon. So now we're going to find out how to identify or how to know that is actually the beginning of a new month, or when the new moon comes out. Watch. On the first day, it is called the new moon because on that day, the illumination begins to set upon it. Let me read it again. On the first day, it is called the new moon because on that day, the illumination begins to set upon it. I want you to pay attention to this. It's very important. We're talking about the first day of the month. This is a new moon that is coming out right now. So how do you identify it? You can see from those pictures right here, those 8 different phases of the moon. So now he's telling you, the book of Enoch is telling you actually the true, the actual new moon and the actual first day of the new moon. And he goes down and said, when the moon begins its cycle, it appears in the sky 1/2 of a 7th part. Let me read it again. When the moon begins its cycle, it appears in the sky 1/2 of a 2nd part. When the lunar cycle starts, you're going to notice, or you're going to be able to see in the sky 1/2 of a 7th part of the moon. And he explained exactly what we just read earlier when he says that on the first day it is called the new moon because on that day the illumination begins to set upon it. In other words, on the first day of the new month, the moon appears in the sky 1/2 of a 7th part. That's what it means. That's when he says that because on that day the illumination begins to set upon it little by little. So that means that a little part of the moon begins to shine so that people can see, so that the Israelite can see that this is the beginning of a new moon, of the new month. Because basically, at first, the new moon is pitch black. You can't see that unless it comes out during the daytime. But mostly, usually, it comes out at night or at evening. So now, let's find out which one is the 7th part of the moon. So as you can see on this picture right here, the waning crescent is the 7th part of the moon. And in order to understand or to identify the new moon when it comes out and when it appears in the sky, and he shows as 1/2 of the 7th part, you need to divide this into 2. So we're going to consider the second or the half of this second part of the moon right here. So this is it. As you can see on this image right here, this is the half of the waning crescent, which is called the 7th phase or the 7th part of the moon. This is it. This is it. This is actually the new moon. Because he said when the moon begins its cycle, it appears in the sky just like you can see on the picture right here. half of the seventh part, and the seventh part is a crescent, is a waning crescent of the seventh phase of the moon, and half of it is the beginning of the new moon. That's the first day of the new month. Understand that. According to the Bible, understand that. So now we're going to deal with the second part of the session. We're going to see how many days can we observe in the various 12 lunar cycles, or the 12 months of the year. In the course of its recession, it makes 3 months, each in 30 days, and 3 months, each in 29 days. During this season, it makes its recession in the first period, starting in the first gate, in 177 days. In the course of its progression, it appears 3 months, each in 30 days, and 3 months, each in 29 days. So now, you need to understand. So altogether, we have 12 months, or 12 lunar cycles right here. And he says that in the recessions, he shows 3 months, each in 30 days, and other 3 months, each in 29 days. So that means during certain season or certain period of the year, you could have 3 months in a row with 30 days each, and another 3 months in a row with 29 days each. And hop ahead, you can have another 3 months in a row with 30 days each, and another 3 months in a row with 29 days each. So you need to understand that. You need to. This is according to the new moon. According to the moon. This is the natural calendar. Natural calendar. The moon is a sign of the feast. You need to follow that. But there might be some exceptions where you could have a lunar cycle with 28 days, and this is the least of it. In certain fixed months, the moon completes its cycle every 29 days. In certain others, every 28. You see? So you can have months or lunar cycle with 28 days. So you just have to follow the moon. You just have to follow the moon. And in some instances, you can also have during certain seasons, depending on the principle of the moons, you could have 30 days in a month, or 30 days in a month, 31 days in a month. You could have 31, 30 days, 29, 28. So the longest is 31, and the shortest is 28. So it varies. It differs from one season to another. It's not the same. You cannot go off of this modern day calendar where every year December lasts for 31 days, for example. No, you need to follow the moon. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example of a complete lunar cycles for a year recorded by NASA. But you need to understand that the time zone differs from one region to another. So that's also the lunar cycle, which means that the new moon will not come out at the same time for everyone in the world. But back then in Israel, the time was the same. The time was the same back then in Israel. They were observing the moon at the same time. The new moon of the Israelite was being observed at the same time because it was in Israel. Everybody was in Israel when people were not, the Israelites were not scattered yet throughout the four corners of the earth. You need to understand that. The time zones are different. So the new moon is not coming out at the same time for everybody. So here's an example of the different lunar cycles, and with the time, along with the times that was recorded by NASA for the last year. So you can check that for yourself to see as an example to understand what I'm talking about. And the last moon, the last new moon of 2021 was recorded on December the 4th. And like I said, the time zone is different. It's not the same for everyone. But this is just an example. It was on December the 4th. And I'm going to give you the 2022 phases of the moon that was predicted by NASA also. So you can use it as a reference just to help you to keep the Sabbath or any other feast. But like I said, once again, it's not the same for everybody. I'm just giving you this to help you out. And you can check this from the beginning of the month, or you can just be aware, keep your eyes on the sky or on the moon, so that anytime you see the new moon comes out, then you will just record the time and you will start to count from that time. So now, how to determine the actual Sabbath day from the new moon? We're going to show you how to determine the Sabbath day from the new moon. It shall be to you a Sabbath of solemn rest, and you shall afflict yourselves. On the 9th day of the month, beginning at evening, from evening to evening shall you keep your Sabbath. So basically, the day for the Israelite starts at evening. You need to understand that. Let me say it again. The day for the Israelite starts at evening. The day for the Israelite starts at evening, usually at sunset. When the sun goes down, that's when the day starts. Now, here's an example of how to determine the seventh day or the Sabbath day from the new moon. So, for example, if the new moon comes out on December the 4th at evening, for instance, this is the beginning of a new month. So the Sabbath day will be determined as follows. So from the 4th at evening to the 5th at evening is the first day. This is one day. And from the 5th at evening to the 6th at evening, this is the second day, 2 days. From the 6th at evening to the 7th at evening is the third day, 3 days. From the 7th evening to the 8th at evening is the fourth day, 4 days. For the 8th at evening to the 9th at evening is the 5th day, 5 days. From the 9th to the 10th at evening is the 6th day, which is 6 days already. Now, from the 10th evening to the 11th evening is the 7th day, which is the Sabbath day. So basically, on December 10th at evening would begin the Sabbath until December 11th at evening. I hope you understand that. This is just an example that I'm just giving for you to understand. For you to understand. The most important is to be able to identify the new moon. When the new moon comes out, you already know what resembles the new moon. The half of the seventh part of the moon is the first day. You're going to start to count from that until the seventh at evening. Then you're going to start keeping the Sabbath. This is what's in the Bible. This is biblical. The Bible or the Word of God doesn't deal with the modern day calendar. This modern day calendar was set up by the Romans, the pagan Romans of antiquity. We cannot use that as a reference to keep the feast of the Most High. It's not biblical. Understand that. Sunday or Saturday is not the Sabbath. So if you once you start keeping, or once you identify the first day of the new month, the first Sabbath of the new month, then you're going to continue counting 7 days every time. 7 days every time. For example, if it's on the, let's say, the 11th or the 10th falls on a certain Monday, then the next Monday evening is going to be the same thing. You're going to start keeping the Sabbath throughout the same month until the new moon comes out. The next new moon is not going to fall on the same day as December the 4th. It's not going to be the same. Of course, it's going to be different. It might be on January or even at the end of December. You never know. It could be a very short lunar cycle of 28 days. So you just follow the new moon. That's it. That's how the Israelites were keeping the feast. That's why they say the moon is the sign of the feast. And Yeshua returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee. And there went out a fame of him throughout all the region round about. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read. For the Christians out there, even the Messiah was keeping the Sabbath, not Sunday or Saturday. He was keeping it based off of the new moon. That's it. Just like we just went over. And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of the Most High. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of the Most High. Even the Gentiles wanted to partake into the Sabbath. Even the Gentiles wanted to keep the Sabbath back then. The Gentiles back then were totally breed of Gentile. It's not the Gentiles of nowadays that are teaching the children of Israel to keep Sunday, which is the worship of the sun. Satanism. Those Gentiles back then were a totally different breed of Gentile. And those are the ones who are going to make it to the kingdom of heaven. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Most High, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Most High. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that had transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and there shall be an abhorrent unto all flesh. This is going to the new to the kingdom of heaven, which will be set up right here on earth. The headquarters is going to be in Jerusalem, not somewhere out there in the sky, just like the Christian church teaches. This is going to the new kingdom of heaven, just like I said in the beginning of the video, that the Sabbath day is the perpetual covenant, which means that even in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to be keeping the Sabbath. And that's what he's telling you right now. The new heaven and the new earth. We're going to keep in the new moon and the Sabbath, not the month of the modern day calendar, or the Romans. We ain't gonna be keeping no December over there. We ain't gonna be keeping no March, no April, and any of these pagan month of the pagan Romans. We ain't gonna keep it that. We're gonna follow the moon, the natural calendar of the Most High. And every single Sabbath, here's another thing, every single Sabbath and every single moon, all flesh, those are going to make it to the kingdom of heaven. You going to go and look upon the dead bodies of the people that transgressed against the Most High, the people that teach Sunday instead of the Sabbath day, the people that are teaching paganism to the children of Israel, and any other people that is not going to repent. They're going to see the dead bodies. This is in the Bible. That said the Most High, the gate of the inner court that faces east shall be shut on the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath day it shall be open, and on the day of the new moon it shall be opened. The prince shall enter by the vestibule of the gate from outside, and shall take his stand by the post of the gate. The priest shall offer his burnt offering of his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go out, but the gate shall not be shut until evening. You see, evening, just like I mentioned earlier, the gate shall not be shut until evening. The day starts at evening. So from evening all the way to the next evening of the next day. So we keeping the Sabbath. The people of the land shall bow down at the entrance of that gate before the Most High on the Sabbath and on the new moons. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord, to the Most High, to serve him and to love the name of the Most High, to be his servants, everyone that keep the Sabbath from polluting it and take hold of my covenant, indeed them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar, for my house shall be called an house of prayer for all people. The Most High, which gathered the outcasts of Israel, say, yet will I gather others to him beside those that are gathered unto him. This is talking about the Gentiles that's going to make it to the kingdom of heaven. There's some Gentiles out there that's going to make it to the kingdom of heaven. And he's talking to it, but those are the Gentiles who's going to be keeping of the Sabbath and is going to take hold of the covenant of the Most High. And by doing that, they're also going to benefit or take advantage of the blessings that come with keeping the covenant. So hopefully you've been edified, and hopefully you understood everything that has been brought up in this video. And if you didn't understand, you can drop a comment down below, and you can ask questions in a comment section, and I will respond to that. So I will ask the viewers to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and share the videos so that the word can be spread throughout the four corners of the earth as prophesied.